everybody, welcome back to the shop. We're jumping right into part 3 of this build series. As you can see, I've been doing some work off camera here. I got all the front accessories installed on the motor. I think it turned out pretty nice. Went through and sort of freshened up some of the pulleys with some paint. I don't know how long it'll last, but I just figured whatever. At least I'm kind of protecting it from rust and stuff a little bit. I got to the part where I need to torque the balancer, but in order to do that, I need to be able to clamp the flex plate, and there isn't a flex plate on here. Got it sitting up here on the crane and pulled the stand off, and I'm getting ready to put the flex plate on there. Once I get the flex plate on, it'll be time to do the transmission, and then once it's all swinging on the crane, it's time to set it down on the K-member over there. Done some work up top on this thing. I don't want to move the blanket right now. It's sort of protecting the paint from the crane. Once I get it set down over there on the K-member, I'll bring you back and show you what I did. All right, hang in there. Okay, took a little bit of wrestling, but she's mounted on there. I got the bolts to the motor mounts on both sides, and that's how it's gonna sit on the cradle. So some of the stuff I wanted to show you, ultimately it turned out that the ZZP 10mm spark plug wires that I got weren't gonna work. I didn't look at the website close enough when I ordered them. They had a little blurb that said front drive applications only. And that's because when the engine's sitting transverse, the coil packs are mounted in a different way, and that routes it looks really nice, like when they route the wires that way. So I understand why it doesn't work, but it caused me to have to send those back. ZCP was really cool. They have a 30-day return policy. I went beyond the 30 days because the motor was taken apart. I just sent them an email. They were really chill about it, and they're letting me return it on a store credit. It's good because I got to buy more stuff from them anyway. Works out good. I ended up getting a spark plug kit off of Amazon. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the 8.5mm low resistance or whatever they call that spark plug wires. The way that they came is they came with these ends already made up, and then the other ends are just open, so that way you can customize them to fit any way that you want. And let me grab a light so I can get down to the sides and show you. When I was getting the headers on here, I realized that the spark plugs on the driver's side, it's fine the way that the headers come out, but on the passenger side they had to make the header a little bit closer up to the motor, and it's really tight in here with these spark plugs. And so this one in particular on number 4 gets really close to this primary, right within about a ½ inch there, and I was having a heck of a time even getting a wrench on it. That one I had to do some kind of custom trick out stuff to try to get a wrench on it. So I was like really worried about it being that close to that primary. When I bought the kit, I ended up buying these ceramic boots. They're hard, like porcelain type material. I ended up making up the wires, pulling them to length, and then I just installed the ceramic boot on there instead of the plastic one, or sorry, the rubber one that came with the kit. Routing the wires a little bit differently. Normally with the stock manifolds, they kind of come over and just hang off the side here. That would be a big problem here because they're gonna totally lean up against this hot header, and I didn't want to melt them. A little bit of protected here just in case, and they're run under the headers, and then they pop up and hit the spark plugs. And I actually did the exact same thing on the driver's side as well. This one's a little bit clearer picture, and you can see there what I did. So they're coming down and around and underneath, and then they pop up and hit the spark plugs. I think they looked nice. I mean, they turned out okay. It's not like it's really going to matter. Most of this stuff is going to be tucked halfway under the cowl of the car anyway. Like all modern motors, it needs a wire harness. That wire harness, it's hanging right there, is really ugly. You know, take a picture in your mind of it, because it's already starting to get messy. I put some of these injector conversion wires in, but the harness has got to come in here. It's got to hit the alternator. It's got to worm its way down here, hit the EGR, go all the way down to the cam and the crank sensors. There's a lot to get done here as far as getting the wire harness in. Once you get it all in, I mean, it'll look okay, but I don't know. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time trying to tuck it or anything like that. Plus, it uses this gross factory loom.
Ew.
I was thinking about swapping that out, but I don't know that I have the braided. I don't think I have enough of the braided stuff in the right size to make that work. We'll probably just wipe her down, throw it on there, and call it a day. The main portion of it actually fits back here on these two bolts. So there's two big, I don't know what you call them, straps that hold the loom. And so I usually start there and then just lay the different sides of it over the motor. It'll all connect up here to the transmission, all the injectors. It'll hook up to the coil packs and everything. And then I'll just lay it on top of the engine and roll this whole thing underneath the car. And then we'll just lower the car down on top of it. I think it turned out really cool. I chipped the paint in a couple of places, just trying to wrestle this thing onto the K-member here, but I don't know. It is what it is at this point. Pretty satisfied with how it's sitting. So we'll start working on getting this harness on here and get it stuffed up in the car. All right, here we go. Okay, the motor's in, not without a little bit of a struggle. I've done this process on these particular cars several times, and on this car, actually, at least 2 or 3 times. And I don't recall it giving me such a fit to get everything lined up, but this time around it kind of did. It's all good though, it's all in, it's straight, we're all set. The nice thing is there's alignment dowels on the K-member, so as long as you get those in there to some degree, you're going to be fine. No, I don't need to have it realigned. At least I haven't had to have it realigned in the past, so there's none of that. Like I said in a previous clip, basically you just got the harness connected to the engine and the transmission, and the part that you're seeing on top here, I just kind of laid that there. That's the part that connects to the car. There is this line here that has this little round bung thingy on it. That's all of this is going to feed over here behind the air box and over the top, and then those wires with the bung on it have 2 connections that go down through this little hole down here and into the underneath the dash on the passenger side. Those will get connected. The rest of them kind of come up here and get these 4 connectors here, as well as the AC pressure switch. What else? I've got the ground wire for the block already connected. It's just kind of laying down here right here. They'll have to drag that up here. I've got a new, I think this is called an accumulator. You'll have to forgive me, I'm not big on AC stuff. I've got a new one of these I might throw on. I went ahead and put new seals on the back of the AC compressor, and I'm thinking about maybe seeing if I can get the AC to work in this thing. I've been driving it around all these years with no AC. The area I live in doesn't get crazy hot, plus you can just skin the tops off of it, but if I can make the AC work, that'd be pretty sweet. Other than that, we'll get all the wires connected. I've got fuel lines over here, fuel and evap. Those get connected over there, real simple connections. In order to get the K-member loose, you got to take the struts off and disconnect the struts. At least on the driver's side, you need to pull the master cylinder off, which is right here. So I pulled the master cylinder off just so I could access these bolts a little easier. So that's got to go back on. I've got to connect all the brake lines and then coolant lines. I'll be working to get through all of that. And then we're getting danger close to startup time. Just like always, every time I do one of these projects, I can always feel that anxiety building as we're getting closer to startup. I always start second guessing myself about, did I get the timing marks lined up right? Did I torque all this stuff down right? Did I remember every nut and bolt? We'll see. I think I'm probably going to have some struggles getting it started, or at least I'm expecting some, just because the computer's been reflashed. There may be some security stuff or some procedures I got to do to get through that. Also, the fuel injectors are modified, and I'm concerned that once I actually get the fuel pump pressurizing everything, that I'm going to have leaks. And if that happens, that's going to be a headache, because you can tell it's real tight around that, and getting in there to get that fuel rail off of there ain't going to be fun. I mean, I can do it, but it ain't going to be fun. So let's just pray that those don't leak. All right, I'm going to just time lapse me doing all this. Hang in there. Well, we've reached that moment where I think I've got everything hooked up. On the time lapse, you'd probably noticed I started on this side of the car and worked my way that way. It's just my own little personal system. Let's review what I did here. I went ahead and got the master cylinder hooked up. Here's one little thing I forgot, just this little sensor that goes on the brake master cylinder here. I think it tells you if your fluid's out, puts a little dummy light on the dash. Anyway, went ahead and got the master cylinder put in. All the brake lines are in and tight. I do have some heat shielding down below I'm going to put in. I'll do that off camera. It's real tight. I couldn't get a camera in there to film it anyway. I put some of this heat shielding back on the fuel lines. From factory, it comes with something very similar to this. It looks identical, except for it just has stickers on it that says fuel lines. So I went ahead and put those on there, since now we're running a header down below and everything, and just to kind of protect anything from heat that I can think of. And just kind of worked my way this way, connecting things. I do have this one loose connector. This is I think it's the ambient air temperature sensor. It goes into the side of the air box, so it's just gonna hang out there for a minute. It's definitely gonna leave the check engine light on, which that's how you know you're in one of my cars, is if the check engine light's on, because that's just how they all are for me. Usually it's the evap systems, they cry all the time to me. Anyway, made all these connections, alternators hooked up. The alternator had a wire that came basically straight from the battery here and all around and connects that way. I ran the main harness wires over here. Installing the ECM in these cars is really tight. Sometimes I feel like I can just unclip it from its mount and slide it out. And sometimes, you saw me, I have to take it out and in and out and fight with it a bunch of times to get it all in there. Either way, we got it in. I've got to go inside still and make those two connections that are in there. But we're getting real close. Getting real close to hooking up the power and starting to do some testing. If you noticed, I've got the fuse boxes over there open. I pulled the fuel pump relays and fuses out. The plan here is to fill this thing with oil and just turn it over on the starter and wait until I see fuel pressure before I actually light it off or try to light it off. I think we've got some stuff to work through there first, so I'm going to wrap up these final little connections and things off camera, and then I'll see if I can get the I'll see if I can get the oil pump to prime, and we'll just kind of work our way up from there. It's exciting, but also very nerve-wracking. All right, stand by. Okay, I checked it. She's making a little over 60 psi of oil pressure on the starter. I pressurized the fuel system, and I'm not seeing or smelling any gas anywhere. So I guess we're down to just hitting the key and starting it. Got it with open headers right now. We rearrange a few things. It'll probably be really loud, so I don't know how this is going to turn out on the microphone. But I'll try and capture it if it starts. All right, here we go. Woo! Boy, that is really loud. It's still doing its initial startup. I didn't want to let it just go all the way down to its regular idle yet, so we didn't get to hear much chop, but it does sound pretty pissed off. So let's maybe get some coolant in this thing, and maybe I can rearrange it so that it can run for a minute, and then I'll bring it back. We'll see what the cam's gonna make it sound like. So awesome, that was the first start. And that was the legit first start, by the way. I didn't just doctor this whole thing up. Like, I was legitimately scared when I hit the key just now. So, awesome. I'm totally stoked. All right, stand by. So went ahead and got the, I guess what do you call these, down pipes? I don't know. They hook up to the back of the headers right here and right there. And they come together here in a little collector. And what I did was I just chopped the stock set of these off right here. After I took some measurements and held it up here, chopped it, and then slid this in there. And it's easy to say, I just slid that in there. That's not exactly how it happened. If you've ever worked on these, you know that Chevy basically ovaled this pipe coming out of the cat here, and I had to un-oval it. That was not fun. Required a lot of pounding and squeezing in the vise. And finally, I don't know how something magical happened. It just slid right in after I twisted and fought. It took me probably, I don't know, an hour and a half to fight that in there. Anyway, it's in there. It's solid. It's sealed. A lot of people might say, why did you just delete the cat? Well, I guess I could have, but I don't know. I don't want to deal with, you know, a cop or something pulling me over, wondering about my exhaust, so might as well just keep it. Plus, down here, the stock provision for the O2 sensor is here. I would have had to move the O2 sensor all the way up to here and probably pull the harness back a little bit, which isn't that big of a deal, but I didn't want to do it. Plus, now, because this pipe came with the provision for the O2 sensor, I actually have a port. I just went ahead and RTV'd that closed with some high temp RTV. I'm probably going to use that port for an AFR sensor at some point. So now it's just stock, pretty much cat back, and then it's got some kind of, it's got a flow master up under here. So we'll see how she sounds when we get her lit off. All right. How did those 06 injectors work for you, Mark? Well, in case you're wondering, they're out of the car for a reason. They suck. Basically, I think they might have worked because the car did start. But I think one of them was hanging open because I was getting kind of a slight hydro lock kind of situation going on there. and it was kind of freaking me out. So I went ahead and took them out. I actually emailed ZZP, who told me, hey, don't use the 06s because the tune that we have set up in your car is for a stock injector from 97 to 02. I guess the good news is they were probably just running a little fat and not lean, so I don't think I did any damage. It ran for, I don't know, a few seconds, maybe about a minute, I guess, with this happening, and I could hear it kind of popping and banging in the headers a little bit. I don't know. It could be fuel related, the popping and banging, but typically popping and banging is like ignition related. I'm just going to go back to the 98 injectors and hopefully they'll all be working. It would be sweet if I hit the key and that just solves the problem, although I'm not hopeful for that. I think I'm going to get all this back together and then I'm going to be taking apart spark plug wires that I made to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to do. I did test all those spark plug wires for continuity and resistance, and they all tested fine. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. Probably have to pull spark plugs out, see if I probably fouled one with hanging an injector open. Again, it all started and ran. It just it was really doing some hinky stuff with these injectors. Thought I'd get you that update. All right, got the 98 injectors in there, no leaks, everything's great. It is still popping and banging. I went ahead and put a spark plug tester on all the wires across here on the coils. It's showing that they're all sparking, but that doesn't really mean anything. I was just using one of these guys to do it. My current theory is that the previous fuel injectors were way fat and probably fouled out a couple of spark plugs. I want to pull the spark plugs and check them. Even though they're brand new, I probably still fouled them out. But the headers are too hot to get in there, and it's like super tight. Like this is the easy side to get to, and it's pretty tight. And then over here, not only is it super tight, but the number 4 plug, which is at the tip of my light there, it's kind of hard to see. That one is only about a 1/2 inch clearance from the back of this primary right here, so I'm definitely not getting in there tonight. But what I thought I would do is fire it up and kind of let you hear briefly what it's doing. I don't want to run it too much because I could be causing damage, but it's definitely coming out of the exhaust and not in the intake. Anyway, I'll fire it up and let you listen. Hopefully you could hear that. That's what I'm fighting now. So I'm gonna let her cool off for the night. Come back in here tomorrow at some point, pull all these plugs. I'm really hoping that I find the smoking gun and I can solve the problem with a new set of plugs. I actually have some freshies over here on the shelf, and we'll go from there. All right, that's the latest update. It's been a couple of days since that last clip. Went ahead and went through the whole ignition system, trying to figure out the popping and banging. After I swapped all those fuel injectors, it kept popping and banging. So I ended up just pulling all the plugs. I threw a fresh set of NGKs in there. The number 2 plug, you can see, she looks brand new. Nothing was happening on that guy. Number 4, she's carbon fouled. This sort of just confirms in my mind that the fuel injector was hanging open. Well, after pulling all the spark plugs, testing continuity, rechecking all the firing orders, turns out 2 and 4 were swapped. Thank goodness, it was an easy fix. It was about a 2.5 hour headache trying to run it down, but I'll take the easy fix and the time over having to pull all the spark plug wires out and remake them or whatever else I was going to end up having to do. She's running good now. Sounds awesome. The exhaust now is fully hooked up like you saw, so it's a lot quieter than you'd think. But the thing is kind of a, you know, kind of a dad rod now. Like it's got some grumble when it's sitting there. It'll get up and go. She scoots pretty good, but you know, it's still a V6. It sounds like a V6 once you get it revved up. It's not making huge power, but there's a little bit of a gain. I can feel it. Next clips, we'll take it out and wail on it a little bit, and then I'll wrap up this video. All right, hang in there.